Poor Jimmy. True, it was a terrible night for women, children, and for the hundreds of thousands of hard-working immigrants who cut his lawn.
It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go. For healthcare.
You know what? If I ever cry on TV, it'll be because Maroon 5 put out a new song. But that's it. You big.
And when Megyn Kelly and Greg Gutfeld join forces, it's not just commentary, it's a comedy ambush. This time, their target isn't some policy or politician, it's Jimmy Kimmel and his towering ego. The result? A roast so ruthless. Kimmel's clinging to his punchlines like a child to a teddy bear. If you thought late-night hosts were untouchable, think again. This isn't just criticism. It's a full-scale verbal meltdown. Nuclear-grade sarcasm incoming.
The day when I was on the primetime of Fox and you were on the primetime of CNN, a couple of hours after our shows ended, late night comics would come on, and they occasionally would make us laugh, Pierce. I mean, occasionally they understood that they were in the game of making everyone laugh. As you know, they've abandoned that game now, and they're just political operatives out there. Colbert, Kimmel, Seth Meyer, who I struggle to even mention that guy's name. He's such an absolute I can't stand him. But anyway, it's just my thought.
Jimmy Kimmel is what happens when your TV glitches and replaces comedy with a smug lecture from a wannabe middle school principal. He doesn't deliver jokes anymore. He delivers sermons armed with a soy latte and a side-eye for anyone who's ever voted right of Bernie. If arrogance were an energy source, Jimmy could power a city, complete with his own face on every bottle labeled organic outrage.
All right. So a Republican has won an election. And you know what that means. Jimmy Carter has to stay alive for 4 more years. It's also time for liberals to tell themselves that they're still right about everything and their hysteria and delusions of persecution are perfectly normal. Yet right now, they're melting like that stick of butter Joy Behar keeps between her thighs to prevent chafing. Case in point, last night, all the other late-night hosts threw a hissy fit. It's too bad Tim Waltz is still grieving, or he could send them all a sack of industrial strength.
3 remember when Jimmy Kimmel was the guy emceeing bikini contests and playing beer pong on TV? Now he's rebranded himself as democracy's last defender, armed with a monologue and moral superiority. It's less growth and more desperation, like a washed-up boy band member trying to sell acoustic albums and quinoa recipes. These days, his jokes hit like wet paper towels, and his punchlines come with homework. It's not late night, it's virtue signaling theater.
You took a look at some of their reactions to the news of Trump's win. Look at this.
Hey there. How are you doing? If you watch the show regularly, I'm guessing you're not doing great. Yeah, me neither.
Let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go. For healthcare, for our climate. It was a terrible night for poor people, for our allies in Ukraine.
Megyn Kelly and Greg Gutfeld didn't just critique Jimmy. They kicked down the door of his echo chamber and held up a mirror. What's left when comedy is filtered through HR, hashtags, and hand-wringing? A sanitized version of satire, where the punchlines are pre-approved. Kimmel doesn't riff anymore. He lectures. Less funny guy, more corporate consultant with a laugh track.
Host Jimmy Kimmel is back on the air after taking the summer off. He's missed a lot. Kimmel says if you're not vaccinated, you shouldn't get a hospital ICU bed. But I'm not sure if Jimmy was being sincere because he wasn't crying. Anyway, it's just funny hearing someone say, "I see you," who nobody actually sees. Look, I don't want to suggest that Kimmel's show has become boring and predictable, but last night during the taping, people in the studio audience were changing the...
Greg Gutfeld didn't just roast Jimmy Kimmel. He casually dismantled him. No effort needed. You don't have to jump to take down someone already tripping over their own self-importance. Watching Gutfeld go at Kimmel is like popping a balloon with a toothpick. Quick, simple, and oddly satisfying. Meanwhile, Megyn Kelly brought cold, hard reality. No theatrics, no spin, just a brutal reminder that Jimmy's not brave, not edgy, and definitely not the voice of any resistance. He's a millionaire playing anti-establishment on a stage with LED floors.
How much it costs to produce Jimmy Kimmel's show? I guarantee you it's tens and tens of millions. It could be as much as 100 million. I have no idea. You know how much Tucker's video cost? Nothing. You know how much Jimmy Kimmel, how many people he gets tuning in on an average night? Just last week, his average was, in the overall, meaning all viewers, 1.5 million. In the key demo, 236,000. Tucker would have been embarrassed to pull that on any night he was on the Fox News channel. That's what they're getting now. Tucker's numbers were 3 times what Jimmy Kimmel gets. And Tucker's little basement video that he did from clearly like his cabin that he broadcasts out of Maine in literally has 21 million views. Okay? 21 million views. Whereas, as I point out, on ABC, a massive network that comes into your home for free that you have to make no effort to find, at best, Jimmy Kimmel can get 1.5 million. He needs to have a little self-perspective before going out there and hurling these insults because he looks a little sick.
This is the same guy who once built his brand on beer jokes and bikini pranks. Now he's delivering monologues like he's auditioning for a dramatic role in a political PSA. His idea of comedy is emotional storytelling with background, music and clapter instead of laughs. Gutfeld, by contrast, brings real satire, sharp, direct, and unapologetic. Jimmy? He delivers monologues to applause signs, preaching to an audience that came for jokes but stayed for therapy. Bad therapy.
Poor Jimmy. True, it was a terrible night for women, children, and for the hundreds of thousands of hard-working immigrants who cut his lawn.
It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech. It was a terrible night for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security, for our allies in Ukraine, for NATO, for the truth and democracy and decency. And it was a terrible night for everyone who voted against him. And guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't realize it yet.
And Jimmy Kimmel's not edgy. He's not risky. He's rebellion on a Disney payroll. Packaged dissent with a polished finish. He thinks he's punching up, but it's just flailing at shadows for Twitter applause. Megyn Kelly called it out. Plainly, there's nothing brave about mocking people from $1 million soundstage surrounded by nodding producers. It's not activism, it's a performance. And the tears? He cries more on camera than a rescue dog montage. All choreographed. All calculated.
Last night was the 96th Academy Awards show, and while you might have missed it, there was one clear winner. No, not Oppenheimer. It was sanctimonious leftists for their lead role in pretending they are better than you. Several people shared in this achievement. Winner number 1, Jimmy Kimmel. For the 4th time, Kimmel hosted the Oscars before an adoring crowd of Hollywood stars who laughed and curried favor with the man who wore blackface so many times he's second only to Justin Trudeau in his fondness for the practice. Yes, some of the very same celebrities who wanted you to believe they were horrified after yours truly said in 2018 that people used to don dark makeup in order to imitate well-known black celebrities and it wasn't a big deal, absolutely ate up the performance by Hollywood darling.
Kimmel doesn't need a new monologue. He needs an intervention. Just because he feels something doesn't mean we need to watch it in high definition with dramatic lighting. His show has morphed into televised therapy for his own guilt, delivered nightly to an audience that's dwindling fast. The punchlines are stale, the jokes tired, and the applause feels forced. Even his writers sound bored. Megyn Kelly didn't bring heat. She brought clarity. Jimmy Kimmel isn't bold, or dangerous, or even funny. He's rebellion on retainer, corporate-approved conscience with a side of empty punchlines.
Remember when Johnny Carson cried like a baby over Ronald Reagan getting elected? Yeah, neither do I. And you know why he didn't? Because his wife didn't keep his balls in a Tupperware container next to a box of tofu burgers. But the killer phrase was at the end when Kimmel said, "You just don't realize it." Because you see, he's smarter than you, and he needs you to know that. And his ego can't bear that there's someone out there more famous and more influential than him. I got news for you, Kimmel. The last time you mattered, Bruce Jenner still had a penis.